Hello and welcome back, Squirrel Nation. Today we are going to make an early game tier list. I'm using this site, tiermaker.com, so if any of you want to play with it, check it out. It is a great site. I will add it in the description. So anyways, I am going to do my tier list a little differently. If you notice, my rankings are not ABC, 1, 2, 3, blah, blah, blah. I went with win streak, okay? Win streak, 3 gold, 2 gold, 1 gold. You're neutral, meaning you're kind of 50-50, or you're going to probably lose streak, okay? So that's how I'm going to rate the heroes. I want to talk about my criteria before I fill in this list, and I'm going to try to give some detail, but not too much, because I want to keep this video reasonably short. But if you are interested about a certain topic that I bring up, let me know, and maybe I can make a future video about it, or we can just discuss it in the comments. Okay, so anyways. To me, the way that I'm going to make this list is based on win streaks, and you ask me why. Because of the mechanics of the game, I think the cost of a unit really matters, okay? And let me give you an example. At the very beginning of round 6, so when round 6 is starting, and your shop comes up and you can buy and you can combine, okay? The most possible gold any player could have is 22 gold. The least they could have is 20. Okay, so let's just say everybody has 21 gold. Okay, we'll take the middle. Everybody has 21 gold. You won one of your matches against other players and you lost one. Okay, so you have 21 gold. So I'll tell you right now, starting my tier list, 3 cost units are not going to be high. And you ask yourself, well, why, Chaos Squirrel? And the reason is because if you want to get a 2-star 3 cost unit, that is 9 gold. Okay, so that's going to take 9 gold out of your pocket. Now you have to think about, like we said, you only have 12 gold. So you just spent almost half your gold to get one 2-star unit, okay? Now, no matter how good a 2-star 3 cost unit is, do you think it's as good as 3 1-star or 1 cost 2 stars, okay? So for instance, let's say I have a 2-star Taboo Witcher, I have a 2-star Soulbreaker, I have a 2-star Skybreaker, right? All 1 cost units, and I have all them to 2 stars, and they only cost me 9 gold, okay? Do you think there is any single 3 cost unit in the game that if I gave you a 2-star of it, it would beat those 3? No, absolutely not, okay? So that's what I mean. Later in the game, obviously 3 stars are better, but that's when you've had economy, you've had time to build up a huge amount of gold, and then you can afford it. But early game, right, it doesn't work that way, and this is a big pitfall of a lot of players. Okay, I'm going to stop there because I don't want to go too deep into it. So anyways, to me, 1 costs are the best to pair, 2 costs are good to pair, but you want to be cautious because once again, let's say you get 2 2-cost units to 2-star. That's 6 gold for each, so you spent 12 gold. Now you're down to 9 gold, okay? And the next thing you need to consider is round 5 and 6 is when you're deciding if you're going to level on curve or if you're going to level period. So you're going to have to spend 5 gold to level to rank 5. And if you don't spend that gold, then you're only going to be at rank 4, okay? Or level 4. So if you're only at level 4 and you can only put in 4 units, they better be really good units. So they better be 2-star units or at least a couple 2-star units, right? So that's the other thing you have to consider. So say back to that 3 cost unit we took to 2-star. We spent 9 gold right there. Then we level. Okay, so now we spend another 5 gold. Well, what's that leave us with? That leaves us with only 7 gold. Okay, 7 gold to fill 4 spots and most likely have a bench. So basically that 3 cost unit is going to be your only 2-star going into round 6. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. The other reason I chose round 6 is because after round 6 is when somebody could possibly have a win streak. So if you win round 4, win 5, and 6, you will start your win streak. So that's the other reason I chose this timing. By the way, I define early game to end when you hit level 6. Okay, so when you as a player hit level 6, I think end game is done. I would stop re-rolling for pairs. I would stop focusing on any pair or any 2-star, and I would start focusing on building your economy and what your end game composition is going to be, and start looking for the pieces to fill that composition out and focus on synergies. Okay, so another thing in early game we're going to focus on is synergies. Okay, so what synergies are good? What synergies can get you on a win streak? Okay, so anyways, with that said, I think that's it. Let's dive in. Okay, so Taboo Witcher. To begin, here we go. It's a 1 cost. At 2 stars, it is very strong. It neutralizes a lot of goblins. Goblins actually are the high tier units. Taboo Witcher can definitely get you on a 3 gold streak, and here's why. Because it counters anything that's alt heavy. It can built in with feather units, okay? So it is just a very good unit, and you can take it to late game, okay? So that's another part that I'm going to think about in terms of these, and I forgot to mention that. I'm going to think about, is this a unit that I can add into a late game composition, okay? Because if you can add it into a late game composition, you might be okay taking a hit, right? Or that might be the thing that breaks the tie. So anyways, Taboo Witcher, I'm going to put it at a +3. And I reserve the right to reshuffle these, because I'm literally doing this on the spot as we go through. So Frost Knight to me, or actually, sorry, War Chief, let's not skip War Chief. War Chief, neutral. Even if you get to 2-star, it's a good tank, but it's not going to be what carries you, okay? Its damage is horrible. It's not going to kill anything. It's just going to soak damage. So if you have a 2-star War Chief, you're going to be able to tank tons of damage, but that doesn't mean you're going to be able to kill anything the enemy has. And based on positioning, you can get really screwed, because if your War Chief is only taunting one enemy, and like let's say they have other assassins killing your backline, well, the War Chief is going to sit there taunting one thing, your backline is going to get killed by the assassins, and then you're just going to be surrounded and killed. So War Chief to me is neutral. It's not like a guaranteed loss, but it's bad. Okay. Another thing about War Chief is it can go Cave Clan, so you could get War Chief, you can get the Swordsman, you can get the Skull Basher, which are both 2-cost units, and you have a nice strong synergy, early game synergy, so that can help you to get on a win streak. So, you know what, I'll boost it to a +1 for right now. Okay, so we got that. On to Frost Knight. Frost Knight is just a bad, I mean, that... It's something that I would almost never pick up unless I already have other knights. So let's say before this point I'm offered a Hell Knight, Lightblade Knight, right? And I'm already starting to get a group of knights, then I'll pick up Frost Knight. If I'm already starting to get some Glacier, I'll pick up Frost Knight. But let me tell you, Glacier is super weak early game. The heroes are not good individually, so even if you get them to 2-star, even if you have the synergy, they are not that strong. It's not a synergy that's going to carry you. But I'm not going to say a lose streak. We'll put it at neutral for right now. Okay, so on to Goblin. Skull Basher is 100% a 3 gold win streak. Here's why. As an individual unit, he is extremely strong. His ultimate is on a very short cooldown, and early game, when there's a very few heroes on the board, his ultimate is going to hit something critical most of the time, okay? So most teams are going to have 1 or 2 tanks, and then the rest is going to be backline. So he has a very high probability of hitting something important that he's almost going to one-shot with his ultimate, okay? Another thing is, assassins are an extremely strong early game synergy that you can easily take to 3 gold win streaks, so he definitely fits for a 3 gold win streak potential. Okay, Skull Basher. I shouldn't be skipping these 2 costs. Skull Basher is actually very nice at 2-star early game. The reason why is he has really good damage and he's tanky. So he's tanky and he has good damage because he has that AoE. The thing for him is positioning. His damage can be very high if you hit all the enemies, but it can be definitely lower, not look as good if you don't hit the enemies. But his tankiness is really nice, and if combined with Cave Clan, I will go for it. I would choose him over the War Chief, so maybe I'll put him at a 2 gold win streak right now. He can also combine into Hunters, and you have a 1-cost Hunter. So say you get a 2-star Agaris Hunter, you get a 2-star Skull Basher, and then you could just throw in a Dwarf Sniper or a Wind Ranger, and they're both very powerful 3-cost units. So actually, yes, I am definitely going to put him on a 2 gold win streak. He is a very good unit. Okay, so on to the next. Oh, there we go, Hell Knight. Hell Knight, I'm going to put him 2. Okay, he's very strong individually, but if you look at some of the strongest early game compositions, they are Divinity, and he doesn't fit in Divinity because his demon, the fact that he's a demon will cancel out your Divinity unless you get 2 demons, and I personally don't like 2 demons early game because I just feel like their damage does fall off to the point they don't have the advantage of a, quote, demon unit. So that's that. If you get the Knight synergy going, it's good. The problem is you are only going to get a 2-Knight synergy early game because it's very unlikely that you're going to hit your Agarus and your Gali Ranger. If you do hit them, then he can be really good, but it's just he's not as flexible. He's really requiring a lot of RNG, and that's why I'm going to drop him down to +2, but he's a really good unit. Okay. Skybreaker. Skybreaker is wonderful. He is an outstanding tank, okay? His health to armor. So he, at 2 stars, he'll have 1400 health, and he has 5 armor. He has a very useful CC ultimate, and he fits into that goblin mech. So a lot of times, he is one of the tanks you can use when building assassins, and you could also use him if you're building goblin mech. So he fits in 2 of the most powerful early game compositions, and he, as an individual unit, is very strong. So I definitely put him as a +3 win streak. Okay, so on to the next, Source. Source is very useful later, early game, loss. And this is why I'm going to tell you loss. If you spend 6 gold to get a 2-star Source, you have wasted 6 gold. She is not going to win you anything early game, okay? She scales when you have 7, 8 heroes that she's generating their ultimates. But when you have 3 or 4 heroes that she's generating ultimates for, it's not helping you that much. And her auto attack damage, everything like that, her DPS is horrendous, right? So she is a loss streak. If you invest gold to get her to 2-star, you are not in a happy place. Okay. And also, actually, I would like to make a side note on that. This is why I've kind of learned to stop holding sources on my bench early game. Okay, so I used to make 2-star sources because I'm like, oh, I'm going Divinity Mage, or I'm just going like 6 Mage, I want to hold my source at 2-star. But the problem becomes is, she just sits there. I just have 6 gold sitting on my bench because I'm like, do I want to switch her in? No, if I switch her in, I'm going to lose my win streak, or if I switch her in, I'm going to start losing. So I just don't find a window to switch her in, and yeah, that's why I put her in the losing column. If you put her on the board, you're very likely to lose. Okay, sorry, 1 sip of water. Okay, let's find the next unit. Is Agarus Ranger. She is an interesting one. She got her damage nerfed a while ago, I think 2 patches ago, and the reason I'm putting her at +1 is because she can combine in with the hunters like we talked about. So if you get her, you get a Skull Basher, and you get one of the 3-cost hunters, she can be good. But as an individual unit, she's not that strong. She's nowhere near as strong as the ones that I put above her, and she's not really something that I like to hunt for. Really, the synergies you're looking for with her are Hunter Synergy and Agarus Synergy. Agarus Synergy is very strong early game, because stripping 3 armor means you're doing about 15% more damage to enemies, okay? So, to me, instead of just thinking about the armor, I think about, okay, I'm doing about 15% more damage by getting Agarus, but then the only unit that you could possibly get early game is the Evil Knight, and that's obviously low probability. You have a very low probability of getting a 3-cost unit early game, so I don't really want to move her above that. Okay, so let's see, on to the next. Unicorn is great because she built into the druids. You can get her to 2-star easily. She does fall off. I'll probably put her +2. I would choose her, and I can kind of look at this list and say, what would I choose, right? So if I had the option of these tiers, these are the things I would buy. Like, I would buy a Taboo Witcher, I would buy these goblins over all this stuff on the 2nd tier. And so if I look at this, that's about where Unicorn is. Yeah, I would definitely buy her this way. And like, if we look at tier 2, say I'm choosing between a Hell Knight and I'm choosing between a Unicorn, the choice is going to come down to which way do I think my team composition's going, right? So say I already have a Tusker at 2-star, I'll grab a Unicorn. Say I already have, I don't know, Glacier or a Frost Knight at 2-star, then maybe I'll grab the Hell Knight, that type of thing. Okay, anyways, Wisp Seer, neutral. The reason for this is he's a garbage unit. The only time I will put him on the board is if I have no better choice, okay? So if he's my only 2-star, I'll put him on there because a 2-star is better than not a 2-star. If I have other 2-stars to put on the board, I'm not going to put him on the board. So he's that type of unit. His gold that you're holding, you're not wasting as much as the source because he's only going to cost you 4 gold to get to a 2-star, and he does build into late game comps kind of the same as the source, so really, to me, the only difference is just he costs you less gold, and there are times where you can put him in, and he can do okay, but he's not great. But he's slightly better than the source early game to me. Okay, on to the next. Oh, another reason, sorry, I would pick him up, I should explain this for all the druids, is if you go Assassins early game, then you are going to want a Trent Protector tank, or you're going to want, right, like, most likely a Trent Protector tank would be great. So, if you do that, that's another great reason to pick up a Unicorn early. You can get her to 2 stars, use her as your tank, and then you would want to grab a Wisp Seer just so that you can get towards your 4 druids. So that's kind of another reason you'll see me buy Wisp Seers early game, even though I don't put them on the board. They are a useful utility unit. Okay. So, making sure I'm not missing anything, we're carrying on, let's go back this way. Okay, so let's do our 3 costs, actually. Oh no, okay, there you go. So, Evil Knight, he is good, but not great. I'd probably put him a +1. So, he's a good tank. His ultimate is not that amazing. It does 100 AoE damage when you're only talking about 5 heroes. I mean, it's good damage. 500 damage is good, but it's only the ones right around whoever he puts the shield on, so it's not that amazing. His damage is not that amazing. He is a really good tank. But as I look at the tanks, here's the problem, is am I going to choose a 2-star Red Axe Chief or a 1-star Evil Knight, right? And that starts to become the debate to me. That's why I'm going to probably only put him at a +1. And really the only reason I don't put him neutral is because of the fact that he can get the Agarus buff with the Agarus Hunter, and also I could potentially get a 4 Knight. Highly unlikely, but potentially. Okay, so got those 4, 4, 5. Swordsman. Swordsman I really like. Swordsman, I think I'm going to leave him at a +2. Here's why. Swordsman really fits into Divinity. If you get a 2-star Swordsman, he does a ton of damage with his AoE and with his ultimate, and especially if you go Divinity, then you can have 3 Warrior Divinity with a Swordsman, and he will be your damage carry. So I really like him. I'm going to put him there. He also goes into Cave Clan, and you can see we already have some other Cave Clan that are kind of higher up there. So he's a flexible unit, he has a lot of damage, and he is a 2-star that I am very happy to get, if possible. Okay, so moving on. Flame Wizard. This one is... no, I think I'm going to put her 1 for now. Okay, this is my thinking. If you're going Divinity, you're not gonna use her because then you have Source and the double human will cancel out for you. So that gets rid of her. If you're gonna go Mages, you could grab her. That's when you would want to grab her. Mages early game are weak. They're not really going to get you onto win streaks, especially at 1-star. So a 1-star Flame Wizard, if people have 2 stars, is not going to be all that amazing. If you get her to 2 stars, she can be really good because she can just one-shot things early game. But she will basically, you'll have to, like we discussed the gold earlier in the video, she's going to have to be your carry if that's going to happen. So I would never target her to 2 stars, and I very rarely mix her in to my early game team compositions. Okay, carrying on. Oh, so Lightblade Knight is a very funny unit. She is much better later in the game than she is early. The reason for this is her passive ricocheting around actually just charges people's ultimate. So when you have, let's say, 4 heroes and her ability ricochets off your tank and hits the backline, you think, oh, well, I'm damaging the backline. Well, there's diminishing returns on her damage, and then you have just charged the enemy's backline's ultimate, right? And then they ult you and kill you, basically, right? So early game, I mean, heroes are going to ult once, and probably whoever ults first is going to have a very large advantage early game. So that's why I don't want to move her up to 2. Like, I would 100% I choose Evil Knight or Hell Knight over Lightblade Knight. I choose a Swordman over her. I choose Unicorn over her. You'll see me pass her all the time early. I think +1 is where I should put her. That feels about right to me. Oh, okay. Werewolf. This one is... he's very good. Only problem is I'm going to put him to +2, and this is why. Is because, like we discussed, you're not going to get him to 2-star. So these things on the top row I can get to 2-star, and they're going to wreck a werewolf that is only 1-star. But he's good. He leads into nice synergies. Beast is a very strong synergy early game. Divinity Warrior is a strong synergy early game. So he fits into those. It's nice. He's a nice piece. I will definitely grab him if I see one. Water Elemental, I think we also come here to 2-star. The reason why is, actually, you know what? I think I might boost him. I'm going to boost him, and let me give you my explanation. 1, he's an assassin, so we go into that assassin combo. 2, he's a spirit, and spirit is another very strong early game synergy. Because early game, a lot of the units tend to be melee, like if people get in their warriors, like if you just look at this tier list right here, right? Melee, 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 right? Melee, melee, ranged, melee, melee. Okay, so only 1 ranged unit out of the top of our early game tier list. So spirit, that's why spirit buffs are so strong early game, because most of the really good heroes are melee, so they're going to get turned to stone. So anyways, I will put the... And also, Water Elemental you can take late game, just like the Taboo Witcher. And also, Water Elemental just... yeah, it has a lot of utility, so I'll put Water Elemental up there. Okay, Argali Knight... I think we go 2. So he is a great unit. He's the deciding factor of me going Knights, okay? And what I mean by that is if I get him in this early rounds, I will definitely start to shift my attention towards Knights and think of going like Dragon Knights or Glacier Knights because he's that crucial. He's Human Knight, and his ultimate is amazing. It heals and does true damage to all enemies around whoever he heals, so he's a great like secondary tank. So that's outstanding. The only reason I don't put him on the top tier is, once again, he's 3 cost, so you're not getting him to 2-star. Shadowcrawler. That's a harder. This one's hard. This is a half. This is very between 2 and 1. I pick her up. Okay, she's something I buy early game because she takes me into Assassins and she takes me into 6 Feather, okay? And both of those, 6 Assassins and 6 Feather, are both very strong compositions and they're very consistent. So I will, if I see a Shadowcrawler, it is highly unlikely that I won't buy her. So that's why I'm going to put her on +2 instead of +1. But she kind of fits that category where I might not necessarily insta-add her into the game. But no, it's very likely I'm going to add her into the game. So say I already picked up my Goblin Assassin, my Water Elemental, and then I grab her, I'm going to throw her in the game. Yeah, and then she builds into things nice late game, so yeah, we're going to put her on +2. +2. Baby Dragon. Neutral? Okay, so Baby Dragon is like Lightblade Knight. Baby Dragon is a lot stronger late. Baby Dragon's DPS from auto attack is horrendous, like really, really bad. But Baby Dragon has a very short cooldown, and so if you can get mana regen on Baby Dragon can be like perma-alting. Or if you mix Baby Dragon in with like a Divinity comp, you're just like seeing a Baby Dragon that's just non-stop alting, and Baby Dragon's damage gets sick. Baby Dragon, I'm going to put it neutral because if I get Baby Dragon to 2-star, I'm not really that stoked to put it in. It's going to do good damage, but it's super squishy, and like we talked about, people are going to go Assassins early game. They're going to go a bunch of these things that Baby Dragon are going to have a problem dealing with because Baby Dragon is super squishy. Baby Dragon, I think, has the lowest health in the game, 450 health. So a little bit better than the Source, but not something I'm super happy to get to 2-star and put into my team comp early game. Okay, oh, Queen of Pain, love me some Queen of Pain. No, I gotta put her top. If I'm getting an Assassins going, Queen of Pain is critical because she does AoE damage. If you go 6 Assassins, if you go 3 Assassins, Queen of Pain is going to top your DPS meter the majority of fights. So she has to go up here. She will lead you to win streaks. Putting her up here kind of makes me want to drop the Water Assassin down. Water, but he has that spirit, which is really nice. Or no, okay, we're gonna leave it. We're gonna leave it. Also, you in general, you want to mix one demon into your builds because demons have a disproportionately high amount of damage, and early game you're looking for individually strong units, so demons are that. The only time you don't want to mix in a demon is if you are going divinity. Okay, so that is that. Thunder Spirit, I think I put +2. He's a great unit. He does do good damage early game, but not great. The thing for him that really helps is he has very high auto attack DPS. So he has a very fast attack speed, so he still does good auto attack DPS. And his ultimate has nice utility, and he also benefits from the spirit. So something you'll see me do sometimes is I'll actually go with a Thunder Spirit as my tank for my assassins, especially if I have a water elemental. So I'll put him at +2. He's not +3 because you can't get him to 2-star, and his damage is not the same as it is later in the game when he gets stars, and there's more units on the board, right? He's AoE damage based. That's where the bread and butter for him is AoE damage, not auto attack. So when you're only talking about 4 or 5 units, it's just AoE is not what it is late game. Okay. Lord of Sand, I think we go 2-star. I would put him 3. But I'm putting him 2 because he's a 3 cost, so you're not going to get him to 2-star. In terms of assassins, he is your tank assassin, okay? He has 10 base armor, which is the highest in the game. So of all units, at a level 1, or a 1-star unit, he has the highest, tied for the highest armor, okay? But he's an assassin. So that's good. So that's very nice for your assassin builds because here's the thing, when your assassins jump in, they're going to take aggro from the enemy backline. So like, let's say the enemy's running hunters and the Lord of Sand jumps in, the enemies are going to target him. So that's really good for you because he is tanky. So he can tank damage, and then his ultimate CCs the people who are doing damage to him, and then by that time, by the time that CC wears off or the enemies have finally killed him through his tankiness, your other assassins have just crushed the backline, like your Queen of Pain as an example, okay? So Lord of Sand definitely helps you on win streaks. He also blends in with Beast, and like for instance, if on the rare case where you get a couple 3-cost units, right? So let's say you get a Werewolf, you get a Lord of Sand, you're happy. You just got Beast buff, and you have 2 quality units. You're not going to be able to get a 2-star, but they can at least, they're going to kind of go neutral. Okay, and on to the next. Ooh, he's a harder one. I could put him 2. I'm going to move him to +1. And the reason why is he's one, he's squishy. 2, his position really matters. If you know how to position him such that he hits multiple of his flame balls on the enemy team, or he hits the majority of his flame balls onto the enemy team, he's very strong. His DPS will be really high, bursty. His auto attack DPS is extremely high. He can definitely be your DPS carry, but his position is a little finicky. No, I have to put him +2. Because, I mean, if I look at, I am happy to grab him. The reason I'm not going to grab him as much is I don't really want to take him into my late game. So normally, for 3 costs especially, they are units that are going to be the crux of your late game team comp, right? So if I look through the 3 costs that are in this row, he's key to Knights, she's key to Feathers and Assassins, key to Mage comps, right? Key to Assassins and Druid type comps. He's just not that same key. But, you know what, I still put him there because he is better than any of these, actually. DPS-wise, really high, you position him well. Yeah, okay, I'm going to put him. Maybe I should make another. I feel like I should because this is already getting long, and I'm not sure I'm even going to have enough space anyways. Okay, let's worry about that when we get there. Okay, this is the Defect, is it? This Defector, right? I'm assuming this is Defect, yeah, Desperate Doctor's down there. Okay, Defector, so bad. He's so bad. I'm going to put him at neutral. I hate getting him to 2-star. He's like a worst case. I see people all the time go for him to get him to 2-star, and I know they're doing it because they plan to go Glacier Knight, but his weaknesses are this. If somebody gets a 2-star at him, I know they're trying to go Glacier Clan, right? So I know which direction they're going, so he's telegraphed his strategy to me very early game. Same thing with Source. They telegraph your strategy because there's just no way you're going to grab that piece if you have no intention to go for that certain synergy. The only reason I put him at neutral is because his ultimate is good, okay? CCing somebody or polymorphing them early game when you don't have that many units is very impactful. Yeah, we'll put him there. And he does build into late game composition, so I'll put him at neutral. Definitely not a piece I want on the board, but a piece that I would put on my bench, or I would hold on my bench. Okay, Marine. So, interestingly, I think he's a very good warrior, but warrior comps are not that super meta. So, to me, warriors are not consistent. Okay, so some games you can dominate with like 6 warrior teams or like 4 warrior beast type of thing, right? But probably my favorite warrior is 6 warrior beast. So if I go warrior beast, he's a great add-in. Okay, I don't normally go that direction, so I don't pick him up because he's not going to be a damage carry for me early game. He's not something that I just think is better, right? So for instance, swordsman does more damage if I put a 2-star swordsman in my lineup. So yeah, I think +1 is good. He's not a bad unit. His ulti is nice, all those things. But he's not something, he doesn't build into a consistent comp, and early game comp wise, the only thing you're going to put his synergy that's beneficial early game is warrior. And same thing, there's a lot of other warriors that I would choose over him, to be honest. Okay, so Marine Crawler. Okay. Okay, here's where I think we are going to have to adjust. Or I'm going to have to demote somebody. Because she is very good early game, and she can definitely carry you. And it's not because of her damage. It's because of her ultimate, and she can just sustain. And a 2-star of Abyssal Crawler early can just carry you. I can't mention to you how many times I've had an Abyssal Crawler go like 3v1. And not 3 full health, but 3 people who, you know, they're like 20-30% health, and she just goes through. She kills one, she ults, she kind of chips down the other, kills it, ults, right? So definitely great. Actually, you know what? I convinced myself I don't need to make space because I'm going to put her on a +3. A lot of the times, if I go towards assassin, she is an assassin I'd have on the board. And when I get on really fat win streaks with my assassins early game. Dwarf Hunter, he's great. Especially after the buff, he does so much damage early game. His only weakness is his ult can be... Yeah, it's just good. It does a lot of damage. It's single target, so early game, he's basically just going to take somebody out when he ults, and his DPS is super high, so I definitely would put him... Oh, nice. Okay, it automatically adapts. I think I put him at a +2. The only reason I'm not putting him +3 is, like we talked about, he's a 3 cost. You're not going to get him to 2-star. And, for instance, even a 2-star Agarus Ranger is going to out-DPS him. But I think he is more useful than her. Oh, that actually, no. That kind of convinces me maybe I should move them. No, but I'm much happier buying. If you go Divinity, he ruins your Divinity, so that's bad. If you go 3 Hunter, though, I definitely want him. No, I'm going to drop him to +1, and this is why. Because the next unit that we were selecting was Wind Ranger, and Wind Ranger to me is going to +2. Wind Ranger is outstanding, does tons of damage, his AoE is amazing early game, his DPS is super high, his attack speed, he's a great unit to put attack items on, to put debuff units on, because his attack speed is only 0.9, so he is just like non-stop attacking. And to me, he's a 2 cost. And the other thing is he builds you into hunters. Like, he's a core hunter build, he's a core of feather builds. So, and to me, he's still a +2. I'm for sure gonna buy him. But there are times where he's gonna sit on my bench because I am on a win streak. Okay, so there's times where I'm on a win streak, I have 2 stars of these 1 costs, and I'm not just going to switch out a 2-star 1 cost for a Wind Ranger. And I think that's what I need to remind myself when I'm making this tier list. Because what I'm showing you is what you want to put on the board, okay? Some of these are things you might want to hold on your bench for your late game, but where we're talking right now is what am I putting on the board? So actually, you know what? I'm going to switch her up. And then I do like this because I will 100% choose a Wind Ranger over a Dwarf Hunter. And I just need to move up the Agarus Ranger because of the fact you can get her to 2-star and Hunters are good early. So yeah, we're good with that. Going on. Did we miss any? Okay, Curing Mage, he is this might just be me, to be honest, but let me take a sip of water before I go on my... This might just be me. I like him. I think he is a great tank. He has good armor, he has good health, and his ultimate is really useful. So there's a lot of times I will use him as my tank for assassins because he takes damage and he has a nice health pool, so he can take a good amount of damage. And then when he casts his ult on an assassin, he just sped up their attack speed, which is significantly upping their DPS, right? If you think about it, I believe he does a 30% attack speed. It might be a little bit higher at a 2-star. But 30% attack speed, you essentially increased most of the assassins have like a 1.2 average attack, right? So you took that 1.2 to 0.8. That, you are significantly increasing their DPS, so their damage. And assassins are coming for that damage. Same thing with a hunter team, right? If he's your tank for a hunter team, you don't really care about the synergy for your tank early game. You just care about, okay, I have 3 hunters, I have 3 assassins, and I just need a tank. So I'm putting him at +2. There's a lot of times I can take him on a win streak. Another thing is, people don't really go for him, so he's a piece that's very easy to take on a win streak. Honestly, the reason I put him below Skybreaker is because Skybreaker I can take longer into the game, whereas the Ogre Mage I am going to kind of sell off at a certain point. Okay, so we got him out of the way. Boom, boom, boom. 4 cost. Okay, here's Fallen. Okay, he does tons of damage. I think this is the right spot to put him. Yeah, him and Shadow Devil. So these 2 units are pretty similar for me. So as long as he gets his ult off, things are great. As long as you have somebody in the back line for him to get health off of, he's good. His damage is extremely high. I dare say highest in the game after he ultimates. Well, after he ultimates, it's highest in the game. It's how quick does he ultimate, and that kind of comes down to items. So say you get an early game mana crystal, you get early game armor that you can throw on him. He's going to be super beast mode. Yeah, I'm happy leaving him there. So next, Ripper is top tier. The reason why is he goes into Goblin Mech. He has very high health and armor, so he has more health than Skybreaker, and their armor is the same. And also Goblins, like a lot of people don't realize this, when Goblins gain a star, they actually gain the amount of armor. So a 2-star Ripper has 7 armor instead of 5. So Ripper absolutely can take you on win streaks. Strong synergy, strong individually. He does true damage. I mean, it's just all, like he is what you would want in the early game. Okay, Heaven Bomber, same thing. I'm going to put at tier 1. I used to put him lower, but the reason I'm going to move him to tier 1 is simply because of Divinity. Okay, Heaven Bomber, if you get a 2-star Heaven Bomber and even a 1-star God of War, you are going to have a sick early game because Heaven Bomber will just like non-stop ultimate and crush the enemy team. An early game at 2-star, a Heaven Bomber is just one-shotting the enemy players, right? So he's just shooting out rockets with almost no cooldown and doing insane damage early game. So that's why I put him up there. I probably, before Divinity came out, I would have put him probably a +2 instead. Okay, Stone Spirit, I would put +2. 1, he gets into the Spirit buff. 2, he's a 1 cost, so you can get him to 2-star easily. But his ultimate, he attacks really slow, so his attack speed is 1.8. His ultimate is good, but there's a lot of times that it can be a hindrance because it throws the enemy away, which sometimes saves them from getting killed. So yeah, I'm gonna put him at +2. We are almost there. Trent Protector. Interestingly, I'm gonna put him at +2. He's a great tank if you are going for assassins. He is a 3 cost, so you're not going to get him to 2. Well, actually, see him, you actually can get to 2-star, and this is where the druids can be really sick. So if you have that unicorn that we got early game, you hold her, you get 2 Trent Protectors. It's still unlikely that you're going to get 2, but it's much more possible. And so now you only spent 6 gold to get a 2-star 3-cost unit. So yeah, we're definitely going to keep him at +2. Very, very good. He's probably, I dare say, the best 3-cost early game. Okay, once again, this tier list is for early game. So early game, I think he's actually probably the best 3-cost just because you can level him easy, and he is still a very good unit. His ultimate is impactful. It does AoE damage and AoE heal for your team. Tusker is probably a +2. He's nice. His ultimate is nice. It has kind of CC damage mixture. He has beast buff. He has warrior buff. So he fits into synergies that are strong early game. He is good. He's something, if I take the 2-star, I would love to grab a divinity because he can just start chain alting stuff too, because he does have a low cooldown already. So yeah, Tusker's good. Poisonous Worm. Poisonous Worm's kind of between +2 and +1 to me. He's not that useful late game, and he's not, without a mana crystal, he's dependent. If you have a mana crystal to put on him, he's awesome. You're going to get tons of the venom wards up, but without a mana crystal, he's squishy, he tends to die, and he only gets 1 ult off, so you only have 1 venom ward. It's just not really worth it. I'll put him at a +1. He's not something I'm not really that happy if I roll 1. Venom, neutral. The only time I'm going to use Venom is if I'm trying to finish my 6 assassin or my 3 assassin, or if I have dragon, right? So he is only to fill synergies. I would never, ever get a 2-star of him. It's horrible waste of gold if you're not going for one of those synergies. And I even hesitate to put him on the board. So he's garbage, not quite honest. Actually, you know what? I think I might put him lose streak, because if you put him on the board, you're hurting. Like, you're not in a good spot if you put him in the board. He's not something I would be at all happy to put on the board. That I might be being a little hard on him, but yeah, I think I need to be a little more rough on my loss streak, my bottom of the tier. Desperate Doctor is good. He's the best of the Glacier, so he's better than the Frost Knight. He's better than Defector. +1 is probably it. Because the time you mainly want to get him is he's a really good pairing with Divinity. So that actually moves him up. He kind of goes between +2 and +1. There's not many things on the +2 that I would select Desperate Doctor over, but I would select him over. Actually, no. Yeah, he definitely belongs on +1. This basically looks like what I would do. Okay, so unfortunately, God of War is not on this site yet, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say that God of War for me is hands down a top tier. Divinity can get you on a very nice win streak early. There's lots of ways you can take God of War. He's very flexible. You can surround him with warriors, you can surround him with assassins, you can surround him with all types of different things. You can surround him with the goblin mechs. So he does really good, especially if you pair him with our top tier, this +3 win streak gold. If you have a God of War and these things up here, you are going to get on a nice win streak and be a happy person. So that is where he goes. Let me look through this and see if there's any outliers. I would definitely buy them. Unicorn, I am really tempted to move. You know what? I'm going to move her up. I do tend to actually buy Unicorn over a lot of these because I want to, one, open up my probability of getting all 4 druids, and 2, I can get her to 2-star really easy, and that healing early, if you put her so she's the first unit to get attacked and she heals the rest of your team, you're going to be really happy. So Unicorn, I think we move up. The rest of these, I think I'm pretty happy. I feel like I've done Dwarf a little disservice, but if I look at these units, 2-star Tusker, I definitely choose over him, right? Am I going to switch him out is kind of my question. Would I switch him out for a Fallen Witcher? Actually, that maybe, to be honest. Honestly, maybe I should move Fallen Witcher down. These are close. I kind of want to make another tier. That tier would have my Dwarf, it would have my Fallen Witcher, and it would also have my, what is his name? Shadow Devil. So, yeah. But they're all in between. But anyways, this video is already running longer than I intended, so let's end it there. This is my first attempt at a tier list. Hopefully I explained my thoughts well to everybody. This is only for early game. If you all like this, and let's say if this hits, I'm going to do it the way I did with AOV. If this hits 100 like, I will do a late game version of this, and it'll be the same type of concept, but it'll be a tier list for late game compositions, because one of the things I'm most commonly asked is early game, what should I be doing? And late game, what should I be doing? So anyways, I'm going to end the video there. Hope you all enjoyed this, and I will see you later.